Just stand and have your attention to me be through listening rather than through turning your head and looking at me. What are some observables that are interesting to you? Which leg feels more standable? Literally more standable, right? The leg that could maintain you for a bit longer than the other leg. And then, of course, there's also a question of forward and back. You could have your weight a little bit more on the ball of the foot, the other a bit more on the heel, or both have a bit more towards the ball of the foot, and you have a sense of some kind of distribution. And then there's also maybe more forward and back in the lower back. And you might find that in standing, actually, even some of the lower thoracics are either forward or back. Shoulders, maybe one in relation to the other, but maybe both in relation to the breastbone, in relation to the ribs in the back, in relation to your head, and the head itself. More forward, more back, in relation to what? In relation to how its weight travels down through the feet, or in relation to the base of the neck? Okay. And with some comfortable distance between your two legs, gently and lightly reach down to touch your right knee. Could be the inside, could be the front, but just with your right hand. So the right knee just with the right hand. Yeah, and come back up and do that a number of times. And as you do that a number of times, attend to what is this particular folding now. There's some contact that's being asked for, so it's not just spatial. Somehow likely involves the hip joints, involves the knees possibly, involves the ankle, and involves, numerous decisions such as, do I shift my weight to the left leg? Do I keep it more on the right leg? Am I allowed to bend the left knee? Yeah, so everything and anything is allowed that you can imagine or wish to do. But definitely begin to attend to as many joints through yourself. So in addition to the spine that's so delineated, you add the large ball joints of the hips, the knees, the ankles. Good. Okay. Come up to stand. Come up to stand. And now, if you are satisfied with the quality of that, and if you're satisfied with your ability to really attend from the base of your skull, through your neck, through, of course, it's not just the spine, it's the chest, it's the ribs, and you're happy with how you can attend to yourself and notice whether all of those joints that allow this folding continue, none of them stop, they continue, then you can begin to reach or fold yourself so that your hand descends further down. Further down. The hand can go further down, but only to the satisfaction of these conditions, which is an equal folding. And therefore, your attention is either everywhere as simultaneously as it can be, and where it can't be, you dart around a little bit. Eventually, that simultaneity can happen. But just notice, is there a moment where your pelvis stops descending? Which means somehow you Don't allow the pelvis and legs to keep changing their relationship to each other. Letting the weight of the head go forward right up to the base of the skull. So there's some listening to the movement within the joints, and there's listening to muscular tonus in the back of the neck while listening to the weight of the head as it comes downward. And notice what you do with the other leg, and whether you fix yourself somehow and lean on the left hand or what you do. And just note to where can you go without stopping. So maybe it is that your knees stop bending. Right? You only go to the degree that you can both allow all those joints to move and have the capacity to sense that. Right? Okay? And next time you become upright again, walk around a bit. If you'd like, if you prefer just to stand, stand. If you want to lie down, feel free to do so. And there might be something to notice about the walking, or you're just walking. All right. Would you find a spot to stand? And see how it is to now yield or reach. See, reach is kind of very active word, right? But to bend all the joints. So the left arm now, right? The left arm in relation to the left leg. And it can be anywhere. It can be the inside of the knee, it could be the outside of the knee. And the touching doesn't have to be as if you're smoothing down some fur, right? It can just be very random. So the hand can stay soft. And note to where can you go? So it's really a multi-layered task. Because there's softness, which is a quality, but you're also following something, dare we call it quantity, right? So if your pelvis is not descending downward to the floor, then which joints have become fixed? And you can vary where that left hand goes and go a little bit to the outside of the left leg, a little bit to the inside. Then you get a chance to note perhaps a corresponding way in which the head, which is hanging forward, maybe hangs forward but actually turns a little bit. Or you might notice that your pelvis, what shall we say, shifts or turns. If you slide your left hand down the inside of the left leg, and you don't just take your arm there, but you allow your pelvis to, which way would it go? Would it go to the left? Would it go to the right? And would your head go in the opposite direction as your pelvis, the same direction as your pelvis? That's it. And with all the mentioning of the larger joints, have you been paying attention to the spine, various levels of the spine? Could be the lower, could be somewhere in the upper lumbars or lower thoracics. Are they also moving at a rate that they can keep moving? You can keep rounding through the chest, through the back, through the spine, while the ball joints also keep bending and the knees. Good. And come up again and stand a moment. Walk around a bit if you'd like. And Standing, again, take the left foot a little bit backwards, so you're really standing on the right leg, the right flat foot, and the left toes. So just a little bit, right? The left toes, but the main weight is, yeah, and you can rely on those left toes. It's not just an empty kind of leg. And then could you slide just forward to where it's really easy, and then stay there and begin to take yourself in such a way that the right arm goes around to the side, the outside of the right leg, as if you wanted to take all of yourself and, while not falling over, in fact, be able to somehow orient your right arm to the back of your right heel. Yeah, but not the left arm, just the right one. Just the right one, okay? Yeah, so people come up with various solutions. All right, good. Now, let that be, and change which leg is forward. You stand on the left leg, you put the right toes backward, and then see whether you could, in fact, start going, or maybe even go backward. What if you went backward, as if you wanted to reach the right heel with the right hand? The right heel with the right hand. Yeah, so none of this going forward and then going sideways, but just go directly backward. And here comes an interesting thing. Because there's no need to reach the heel, but there's a need to think about what you would do with yourself. So if that right arm is going to hang backward, okay, it's going to reach around the outside of you to actually hang back to the right heel, and there's no need to actually look at it. There's no need to look at it so that you don't have to turn yourself. So the heel is behind, the arm needs to be behind, and if it's an arm that hangs from a shoulder, what would you need to do with the pelvis, with your chest, with your right side of the chest, and with your head? So that if somebody gave you some long Halloween fingers, you would actually brush the back of your heel. Okay. So what do you do with the pelvis? How does it come forward so that you don't fall backward? And your head, can it hang backward? All right. Can you adhere to the same possibility that all the joints, as many joints as can keep participating in this to bring you there, can keep moving? The thoracic spine, it does have usually not a predisposition, except for some people, to go into arching, but it has a capacity. It doesn't all have to be in the lower back. So we're upping the stakes. That's it. Beautiful. All right. Slowly, somehow, come up to stand. And just note something about the way that the weight travels through into, I don't know, balls of feet, heels, left, right, where your head is in relation to whatever you found of interest earlier. And walk around. Just let the right arm hang and just slide and see how you find now this capacity of folding forward from the base of the skull through through the spine, through the left, the right side of the base of the skull. And then maybe stay down wherever is easy for you to stay down. And then see whether from there you could actually find how to transfer yourself to have the arm hanging behind. Maybe you'll need to come up a little bit on the way. Maybe not. Once the arm is hanging back, what is coming really forward? Le bassin. Where are your knees? Have you frozen your ankles? We're staying really, truly within the base of support, which is the 2 feet and the surface area between the 2 feet. That's it. And perhaps from the back, then, you can come around to the side, and you notice that somehow the left shoulder is finding its whole place. When the right one goes down, the left one probably is up. Yeah? So there are elements that you're needing to really not only observe, but maintain their relationships, and other things are happening by themselves, right? You didn't have to be told to do anything with the left shoulder, and it's not really lifting. It's just counterbalancing. Something's going down, something else is going up. That's it. Great. Good. Come up to stand a moment. And then a few times you can take the left foot back. What's your pleasure? To go forward, and from forward to go a little bit, what has to happen in the trunk, in the ribs on the left and in the ribs to the right, that your whole chest and head and pelvis can reorient in space and can reorient in their balance of each other. So, opposition is a very strange word because it has psychological implications, but we want things to be oppositional within us because that's actually what makes things really smooth, right? When your head is really going to the left, right? Because if you're going to go from the front around to having the arm and the left shoulder hang backward, what is the path that your head takes in relationship to your pelvis? Because for sure, if you freeze your pelvis, keep it from moving, then that will implicate the whole changing and counterbalancing relationships. Yeah? And you don't have to get all the way back. Not this way. Not if you're holding the breath, because that, of course, is one of those wonderful reflective processes that tells you, oh, you're into muscular holding rather than into skeletal counterbalancing. Yeah, that's it. Or maybe you prefer not to go from front to side to back. Maybe you prefer to actually just go from standing with your left foot a little bit behind, which means that your left heel is a little bit raised, to actually sense how the pelvis goes forward. What is the relationship of the shoulder girdle and the head going backward? What about the ribs, the lower ribs below the breast? They certainly wouldn't be going backward. And if they're going forward, does that help something go backward? Because these are literally balancing each other, right? Balancing each other. And any holding that you begin to feel in the legs, in the groin, or in the lower belly is an immediate reflection of, oh, I guess I haven't found the skeletal counterbalance. Oh, maybe in order to find the skeletal counterbalance, I have to think about some particular areas in the vertebra. in the spine, some particular areas in the spine. That's it. Yeah. And then you maybe find that, of course, as that left shoulder goes backward, the right one, without you having to instruct it, stays forward or goes forward. That's it. Good. And would you come up to stand? Note if you feel refreshed or exhausted. Anybody feel refreshed? Yeah?